What up, 12th man? It's another Norblog here, and I'm actually just a couple minutes away from doing my interview with the 12for12s show with Paul Beyer. I'm mobile here because I just came from a volleyball game, so it was right before the show, so I'm here doing it out of my car here in the parking lot.
We are back. This is 12for12s with Paul Beyer. We are now joined by my special guest tonight, Norbcam, and I am very excited to bring him on. Norb, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Paul. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I routinely try to go through YouTube and find interesting Seahawks blogs, vlogs, videos, and I came across yours right after the Super Bowl. I thought you knocked it out of the park. But before we get into all that, why don't you tell the 12s and the audience here a little bit about yourself, a little bit personal info, what you like to do for fun, and the type of work that you do on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on, 12th man? Hey, I'm happy to be here on the show. This is great. This is my first interview to talk about Norbcam and what I've been doing lately with the Hawks. So this is a blast. So I'm having a great time. I'm pretty lucky because I have a job that basically kind of ties into everything I'm doing with the Hawks, because I'm a filmmaker is my day job as well. So I've really always worked my whole life for myself. I started out as a kid with a video camera, and it kind of just became a hobby that grew into a job that actually can sustain having a family and a roof over my head. So I'm lucky that during the daytime I get to, sometimes I'm behind the camera, sometimes I'm scoring music for projects. Sometimes I'm just in the editing room cutting things together, but it's every day is a little bit different. So I work on films, commercials, corporate industrial films, and things like that. And then by night I'm working on the Norbcam for all the 12th man out there. So it's really a combination of all my my hobbies and my interests all kind of wrapped into one. So I'm pretty lucky that I get to do this for a living. But it's a blast as well.
Norb, what was it that this year, because I think this was the first year you did the Norbcam, but what was it that instigated you starting it? You obviously have the talent to do it, but what instigated you to say, hey, I'm going to start this and I can't wait to do it?
Yeah, great question. I started out this year. I should back up a little bit. I've been a Seahawks fan my whole life since I was a kid, and I've been a season ticket holder since 1996. So went back when they were in the Kingdom. So I've been going to every season since then, with the exception of 2005 when they went to their first Super Bowl, because we happened to be shooting a movie during the fall of that year, and I was an idiot. I should have just kept my tickets and just sold them and whatever, but I ended up not renewing them because we had our first child, and they went to the Super Bowl, and I was just kicking myself for letting that go, and so I had to be on the waiting list for 2 more years. So I finally got my tickets. I vowed I will never let these go. So I've been a fan all my life, and I just had that little blip that was a very frustrating point of a lapse in judgment to miss out on that couple of seasons there. But as far as what made me decide to do the Norbcam thing, it really wasn't a conscious decision to make it. I was actually at the Buccaneers game, and if you recall the Buccaneers game, that was our 21-point deficit historical comeback, and it was in the overtime, and we were driving for our game-winning field goal, and I thought, man, this is historic. This has never been done before. I gotta document this. So I whipped out my cell phone, my iPhone, and I just taped myself. And I thought, I'll just kind of talk it out, so I'll remember what it was like to be at the game, and for myself, just for posterity. And then the game was over. We won. It was great. We're all thrilled that we pulled out the miracle victory. And just for grins, I put it on the internet just because I had it. I thought, I'll just see what people think of it. And then people were like, yeah, it was great. Hey, are you gonna do the next game? So I thought, yeah, okay, sure, I'll do the next game. And so it just I went to the next game, did it the whole time, and then each game there were more and more people asking me, hey, you gotta keep doing it. So each game it got bigger and bigger, more and more people started getting interested in it, and then I started doing the face painting thing, and I had to up the ante. The production level had to go up, the hype had to go up, more and more people were watching. So I thought, this isn't for myself anymore. I got an audience here I got to entertain. So So I just decided to put it in full gear, and it was great because everybody around me knew what I was doing. They were starting to watch it, so they knew they were kind of on camera as well. They were sort of hapless victims in this production, but they enjoyed it because obviously we were winning, and made little stars out of my friends to the right and left and around me. So we all got to be part of the Norbcam production, and that's the whole. I think the beauty of it was just it's being able to bring people who can't come to the games to see what it's like to be next to a bunch of crazy fans screaming and hollering and doing the 12-man thing that you don't get to hear when you watch it on TV.
You actually do this with your cell phone, or do you have like a GoPro, or what are you using to film?
No, not a GoPro. I started off with my iPhone, and then the first couple of times I did it, an iPhone only holds so much video, so I had to keep deleting clips. I would record, and then, okay, that was incomplete. I'll delete that one. So I was editing as I went. It was a real pain in the butt. So I finally thought I got to get a better system going here. So I got a little Sony. I had a Sony camcorder that just records, hours and hours and has a battery that lasts forever. So I started using that, and then I just would record the whole thing, and just I would only turn off the camera between during timeouts.
So just so everyone knows that hasn't seen your work, the video is of you watching the game, and then you have in the corner actual you edit the actual footage of the TV wherever channel it's on, and which I, by the way, want to know, do you get the copyrights for those somehow? I mean, have you had the NFL ask you or try to get you off YouTube? How are you putting those up?
I hope the NFL isn't listening to this right now. No, hey, I'm just promoting their product, right? Well, actually, I do not have the consent of the NFL. I literally I record the game. I would record it anyway, record it on DVR, and then I go home, and then I rip the DVR onto the computer, and then I sync everything up. I cut up the highlights with everything in sync, and then just kind of condense it down to a nice 10, 15, 20-minute, whatever kind of game it is, into a highlight reel, basically, with our crowd experience synchronized. Mm-hmm. And so it's funny that you mentioned it. The first time I put it on YouTube, they actually the NFL did take it down, and they shut down my first video, and so I stopped posting it on YouTube. I put it on Vimeo, but then I tried it again later on. What I found was that when I didn't have originally I had a little bit of the original commentators on before I actually started talking, and I think that's why the YouTube flags sort of caught onto it and shut it down. Mm-hmm. But when I didn't have their audio, they haven't questioned it since. So, I've been able to do it successfully since. And so I just, I don't make any money off the YouTube, those videos. I don't try to do it. So I just do it. It's just for people to enjoy. So, hopefully they'll just let me keep doing it because people enjoy it. A lot of people commented to me just saying how they can't make it to the games, and they love being able to experience that inside the CenturyLink feeling, and they apparently find me kind of entertaining too. So that's a bonus. Yeah, no. So it's a very underground guerrilla style production for sure. So don't tell anybody. Don't tell Roger about what I'm doing. So we don't spoil it.
You need a code name. Like we need to nickname you something instead of your actual name. Just something completely different. I'll let you figure that out.
Yeah.
The work that you're doing with your channel, you have not just your Norbcam, but you also have some music that you've produced. And I know that you mentioned that you do scoring for films and apparently TV, advertising, different things and projects. I actually have already played one of the songs tonight, the Win, 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 and I heard that a while back. I had no idea that you were affiliated with it until actually earlier today when I was like, I think I've heard that before. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your music stuff that you're doing and how it relates to the Seahawks?
Okay, well, like I said, my job is fun because I get to do a little bit of everything. I get to do some shooting, I get to do some editing, I get to do some composing, as well as some songwriting. So I've been doing that for a long time, played in bands for years, and kind of settled that down now, and it's just, with the family and everything. But that's why my channel is called Kawili Music, because when I first started this, it was last year when they went on their playoff run, and I thought I need to do a song for this playoff run. A lot of people were writing songs, but I thought I need to throw in my my 2 cents in there and throw one up there. And so I wrote that song with a friend of mine named Dean Moore, and we've done a lot of songs together. And so we came up with this rock anthem called Win, Win, Win. And so I put it up on my channel, which at the time was just going to be all music, music videos. So I made that music video with the song "Win Win Win," just cutting all these plays from the season, and and it got some traction. They put it on the Seahawks put it on their website with a bunch of the other songs that were being played at the time by 12-man fans, and played it through the playoffs and through the Atlanta game, and I was going to play it for the Super Bowl, make another version for the Super Bowl, but then we didn't get there. So, unfortunately, so it had a nice little run there during that time, and so that's kind of where that all started with the doing the music videos on the channel. But then, since then, I had a chance to write another song called "We Got Your Back." And I did that song a little bit earlier this season, and it was really, I took it from Richard Sherman within Legion of Boom. They kind of do this, this chant that, "Who's got my back? I got your back. I got my back. Who's got that swag?" And so I actually took that recording, I looped it, and then I built a song around that as the chorus, and then I wrote, the rest of the tune around it.
We are the 12th man, Seahawks, we got your back. Yeah, Seahawks, we got that swag. Yeah.
So that's the other music video I have on the channel. So if you go to my channel, you'll see the Norbcams, and then you'll see the Norblogs, and then those music videos. So, like I said, there's multiple areas of entertainment that's all centered around the Seahawks. But I feel like I'm just getting started with this now that all the stuff is rolling and the season we had with the Super Bowl. I'm just excited to just do a heck of a lot more for this upcoming season. But yeah, so like I said, music and video all kind of coming together. It's just I love doing it, and it's great to have an outlet where I can channel my passions to other people who are just as passionate. So that's kind of where that all started.
You've got this incredible skill set of kind of behind production, pre-production, post-production value with entertainment, from the video to the music, and I mean, that's my sister and brother-in-law are in the business down in LA, and he does kind of similar to what you do. Work, and I understand, because I mean, I'm not a musician. I love music, but I don't know how you can just create things out of nothing. But it's amazing work that you do. And again, I tell everyone, please check out your work on your channel. The kind of segueing into the work that you've done, which I love, by the way. The energy you bring to it is fantastic. This Super Bowl 48 video that you put together. And I got to tell you, I'll just say up front, I think your dad stole the show. Okay, I think Bert was the man. I just absolutely loved it. And why don't you tell everybody about everything that went into first of all, getting there. I know that you were definitely trying to get people to help you get there, and just tell us about that whole experience. Before getting there, going, finding out you were going, and then putting the whole thing together and what it was like out there to be a 12th man.
Sure. Yeah, well, I'm sure just like everybody else, we won that NFC Championship game, the most amazing game I've ever seen. And, of course, going on to the Super Bowl, and then it's like, okay, or now what? And so, of course, like all the season ticket holders, we're all holding our breath hoping we'll get that lottery. And I didn't get it, so I kind of thought, well, probably not meant to be, and so I really wasn't thinking about going at the time. But then I thought, well, maybe I'll do a little Kickstarter thing and just see, maybe people who've watched the Norbcam thing, maybe some fans will chip in, and I got a few bucks, but it certainly wasn't enough to cover the cost of it. So at that point, I was about to throw in the towel, and then my wife was actually the one who kept telling me, you need to just go and tell your dad he needs to go with you, because you guys love going to the games. Who knows if they'll ever make it to this game again, and who knows how much longer you and your dad will be around to enjoy something like this. And so she pushed me into it, and then I contacted my dad, and then I twisted his arm a little bit, didn't take much, and then he said, let's do it. And so one of the benefits is my wife is a flight attendant, and so she was able to hook me and my dad up with some passes through her work, so it really kind of took care of the airline costs. So all I had to do was get a decent price ticket for the Super Bowl ticket, which I went online, went through Prime Sport, and got a couple tickets there, and then we just grabbed a hotel in Manhattan, and then we were off and on our way. It was a little scary because we were flying standby. And that's the only way we could do it for basically, a really super low cost. But the risk there is that you could get bumped which is what happened to my dad. My dad actually got bumped on his flight, so we got split up, and I was going to have him just go ahead of me, but I couldn't because of the way that the way the tickets were set up. I had to go first because of the priority thing. So he had to go through LA, but luckily was able to get on a flight, so we made it, and we were able to get reunite over there the next day, and so we spent all day Saturday, and then went to the Super Bowl on Sunday. So that's kind of how the story went. So none of this was planned out. It was just kind of a went as we go, and I have to thank my wife Jen for encouraging me to go. And I was pretty much kind of just thinking, I shouldn't spend the money. It's gonna be too expensive. And she was like, don't worry about the money. We'll get the money later. But you just go, and you'll have a blast with your dad. And we sure as hell did.
So once you got there, Norb, all the reports I heard, and I obviously was one of those guys that couldn't go myself, but when you got there, it was apparent that the 12s had taken over Manhattan. Because I know you carry a great energy about you when you're doing your program, and again, I hope everyone gets a chance to see it, and I know they will. But tell us about what it was like to interact with the 12s when you were on the ground there, and obviously take us up to the game.
Oh, well, it started even before we touched down in New York. I was on the plane, and it was a nonstop from Seattle to New York. And already on the plane, I was talking to the fans around me. Everybody was practically wearing Seahawks jerseys. We were all doing the Seahawks chant. It's on the video. Seahawks! The whole plane's doing it, and so everybody was into it. Everybody was festive. And so it was already like 12th man traveling together from the start. But getting to the airport, it was a little weird because it was totally dead and there was nothing Super Bowl in the airport really until I kind of got a little bit further. But then once you got into the city, into Manhattan, when we went to Super Bowl Boulevard, which they turned basically Broadway into the Super Bowl Boulevard, and it was at Times Square. Got off the subway there. Man, it was electric. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, there was a lot of Broncos fans too, but man, the Seahawks fans were just everywhere. I mean, it was blue and green as far as you could see, and the streets were just packed. I mean, there were so many people. There were times when you were just sardined in sidewalks. These are huge sidewalks, and you're just sardined by people because everyone's just trying to get from one thing to the other. But it was great because every time you just walk by, you just go, you see it quiet. It's a quiet time. You just go, see, and everybody just starts getting into the Hawks, see, Hawks. And it's great. It's so cool that you have that instant Pavlovian dog response that anytime you just want to get everybody, wake everybody up, you just say, see, and they just know what to do. And it was just so cool. And one really cool, thing that happened while we were over there, there's a gal named Jeannie Hobart Berry. She's a huge Seahawks fan. I ran into her at one of the rallies here. She got to go to the Super Bowl by winning a ticket on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and it was on her show. And we were texting each other, found out about her win, and we hooked up and met over there and got a little Norbcam on her, and then we did a little thing on camera for the Ellen show. They didn't put it in the show; they cut it out. But we, got a chance to hang out with the crew a little bit, and it was just so fun just to see someone from Renton, over there amongst these thousands and thousands of people walking around. But it was wild. Just leading all the way up to the game, you really felt like the 12th man really took over. And the Bronco fans were really nice. They were very polite. And I think that's kind of why we sort of overshadowed them, because they were just so, to me, kind of passive compared to, I see 49er fans and other fans. But these, the Seahawks fans were definitely, in full effect. So I was walking around proud, just looking and seeing so much blue and green around me. It was great.
I think it's, you bring that up about how the Broncos fans acted. I've gotten that report from a few others that said that. And I for some reason, I think the rest of the league and the fans think we're like some crazy, hybrid human alien that like we're violent, or I don't know. It's crazy because I know that I've been to so many games and I've been around. I personally have never seen any violence at a game. I have never seen anybody acting rude to another person or another opponent's fan. I've never seen that. I personally traveled to other stadiums in the playoffs, supporting the Seahawks, sporting the gear. I've gotten all kinds of hell, but I think what I saw, especially on your video, I know there was that Bronco fan sitting to you guys. I think it was your left, and he said, he wished you guys, congratulations. It was very honest, very, it was very nicely put. It was very classy, and you guys handled it obviously very well too. Well, let's before we get to talking about some of what's going on with today's team, all the free agency stuff. I want to get your story of at the game, and I know I've heard everybody's under the planet. I've gone over that game statistically every way you can, but just what was it like to be there and watch that again, relive it with some of the fans here for a couple of minutes?
Being there, I've only been to one other stadium outside of our home stadium, and I went to a Raider game back in the 90s when we weren't so good, and that was intense. I remember thinking then, because everyone was doing the Raiders, and that was scary. I mean, it was intimidating how their crowd was into it. So I felt like for the first time it was the opposite. We were the team with the crowd that was taken over, and from the moment we got off the train. Which was a crazy mess, by the way. That we got stuck in that hot sauna sweat mess. But once we got off that hot, sweaty train mess and got to the stadium, I really liked their stadium, actually. It was a really cool environment. They did the Super Bowl, all the way they built all the decorations around the bowl was really nice. Everything was super expensive, but, you kind of expect that. But, the experience of once we got there was first class, and it was just really nice to get in there. They had screens of highlights constantly going on all around the place, and once we got to our seat, I intentionally bought seats that were almost in the exact same spot as our seats at home, just so I felt like it was that familiar, if it's only crazy if it doesn't work kind of thing. So,
superstitions work, man.
Yeah, exactly. Very superstitious. But yeah, it was a beautiful night. I remember it was a little chilly, but the moon was clear skies. The moon was shining above. I mean, I remember the sun was setting in front of us. It was beautiful. I mean, it was just a beautiful, majestic sight to see that day. And then once we took the field, and and all the pregame stuff started going on, it was just electric, and it was just, you were constantly hearing Seahawks all around the stadium, high-fiving every fan that we saw. I ran into a guy who actually used to sit next to us, at the Clink, and he happened to be there with his wife. So just amazing to run into these people that I know. I remember the things that really stood out to me visually that I watched in the broadcast later that just doesn't sell the experience of was one that in the pregame, that flyover by those the helicopters. Man, it was so close, and they were so big and so lit up that the broadcast didn't do it justice. But you felt like you could reach out and grab them. And I remember the fireworks had just gone off, and man, the fireworks, that was the other thing. The fireworks were all around the stadium. You could see it on the broadcast, but man, when you're in there, we were on the kind of up near the top of the upper level. So the fireworks are literally like right behind our heads. And so it was so loud when they went off, but man, it was just, you could smell them, you could feel them, you could hear it. I mean, it would hit you in the pit of the stomach. And I mean, the pyrotechnics were off the charts. And so they were going off at the beginning, in the halftime show, at the end. And that was something that, you just cannot replicate watching on TV, just to feel a lot of that kind of energy, that they did, the special kind of things that they did at the stadium. So all that stuff was first class. But man, once it got to the game, I mean, it really was loud. It was just, I felt like, wow, I was thinking, yeah, it's gonna be quiet because it's not a home game, but man, it was like, wow, the 12-man really is here, and so it wasn't a surprise when they screwed up that first play, because 12-man was, like, we got them going and we never stopped. We never sat down except when we had the ball. And, even then, we were standing up a lot of the time. And I felt so bad for the Bronco fans because they cheered the most in the pregame. And once the game started, they had pretty much nothing to cheer about. And I felt so bad for those poor Bronco fans around us because we just took over and we were screaming and cheering and whooping and hollering, and they had nothing to come back with, and it was sort of sad for those guys. But as a 12th man, it really was. I said in the video, it was like a dream come true just to be there and watch when the final countdown went off, and the confetti started flying, and it's flying everywhere, reaching up to us at the third level. It's just, you're just trying to remember and visualize everything because you just know this is a historic moment. Everything that's happening is the first time. And so it's great to have that in my memory, but it's great to even better to have it on video so I can show my kids, I can show my friends, and now even the 12th man what it was like, because it really was everything I could have dreamed of and more. And me and my dad just had a total blast. It was the best trip of a lifetime. I've watched that whole video, and one part of it that I think is almost more important than anything else that took place was at the end you did this kind of a voiceover
and you said, everything feels different now for our city, our region, our community. Life will never be the same. We are the 12th man. We are the Seahawks. We are finally world champions. And I think that in itself knocked it out of the park for me, because it touched on everything I was previously to the game, building up to the game, trying to tell my audience and those who I communicate with about the team that breathe it in. Really look around and see what the impact that this is going to have, and this is having, because we haven't won a championship yet, and we don't know what it's like. And it's like you said, it's the first time. Now we want to go get more. So I think you just really summed it up well, and I think it's a great piece of work. And I'll have all the links available and send them out so everyone knows how to get a hold of it. Norb, just kind of transitioning into what's going on now. There's been some moves already taking place. Obviously, we heard about Clinton McDonald signing, O'Brien Schofield signed. I want to get your feeling on, and Michael Bennett obviously signing with us, which is good news. What are your feelings on, I call it better or worse? Do you think we're going in the right direction going in 2014, even though we might have a couple of different pieces that are different?
Well, I'm optimistic. First of all, I've said this before, but in Pete and John we trust. I mean, they brought us a Super Bowl, right? And they've done it in a way that nobody expected would work. From the draft evaluators to all the skeptics, all the critics out there, everybody said what they were doing was messed up and we were going to fail. And they proved everybody wrong. So I've gotten to a point now where even if I start to think, I'm not sure about that, it's like, well, you know what? I just got to let those guys know that they know what they're doing, because the whole Russell Wilson thing and the cornerbacks that have now become the trend of the style of cornerbacks that we've set, it's because they changed everything that is supposed to be the normal route. So, that's, first of all, I give it to them. I always say, what I think, I trust in what those guys are doing. But, again, it's a business. You touched on it earlier, and I thought Doug Baldwin's commentary was spot on, that it is a business. They set it up this way so that it's parity in the league, and the teams can all have a chance to catch up, and nobody can kind of dominate everybody. So, these moves that have been done, sad as they are, I hated to see Red Bryant go, because I love that guy, but financially and the number of snaps he was taking, and you kind of knew it had to happen. And I was really glad they got Bennett back, because as we knew, the reason we didn't get to the Super Bowl last year was because we didn't have the pass rush, and they went out and they got Averill and Bennett, and that is a lot of why we won the Super Bowl and why we did so well in the Super Bowl. Those interceptions we got were a lot of it because of the pass rush that we just never had before. So you kind of knew they had to get that done. So all this stuff now is kind of the interior lineman changes have been happening, and Schofield, kind of a surprising one there with the fact that he wasn't even a starting linebacker. So, but so that one I didn't really feel too much about. McDonald, I really liked McDonald. I was sad to see him, go as well. But I know we've got a couple of, interior linemen who we haven't really had a chance to who we already have on the team. We haven't even had a chance to really let them go because run at it because of the injuries and stuff. So, I feel like they've got cards up their sleeve that we haven't even played yet, and on top of what they're going to get that hasn't even happened yet. So I feel really good about this. And, the main thing I think offensively is, if Percy can stay healthy, this offense, we just got a taste of it in the Super Bowl. But, man, this offense is going to be just insane if Percy can stay healthy. And that's a big, 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 big if. But, I think, the guard position, there's a little bit of question mark there. I'm sure they'll address that in some form. But, I feel overall pretty good about where it's going, and my honest opinion is that I don't think Tate's going to stay. We still don't know yet, right? The latest is still Tate nothing's been determined.
The latest news is he's either in Detroit now, or he flew out there earlier today. So. Yeah, he's out there visiting, and like all free agents, they're looking at their options. And I think, as you kind of mentioned, I think that the Seahawks are probably waiting to see what happens. And I think Tate would probably at least let him know if he gets an offer to see if they counter. And, we'll play it by ear. But as you said, and we mentioned already, it's a business and things are going to happen. With good teams, depth will always be the first thing that's attacked in free agency after you win a Super Bowl, and that's what we're seeing happening now. It's not that we're going to have less talent. It just means that our depth isn't going to be there, and that's what made us so ridiculously good last year. And, hey, as fans and as anybody, heck, anyone, we don't like change. No one likes change. It's hard every time to change. So I think everyone's some people especially are going through these pains of watching fans and players that they love so much go somewhere else. And even though you and I are sitting here talking about understanding it, it still hurts, and you just got to deal with it. But in speaking of Golden Tate, we really, the wide receiver thing's kind of totally up in the air. We still don't, we have an idea of what's going to happen with Doug Baldwin. He's already been, gotten the second round tender. He hasn't accepted it yet, but your thoughts on what do you think is going to happen with Golden Tate, and do you think there's a chance he actually comes back next year?
Boy, obviously it's really in kind of Tate's corner how much he feels he's worth and how much, the Seahawks feel he's worth. And, I don't know how much he's willing to give that hometown discount that he said he was going to give. I know they say all those things, but it really doesn't mean anything when it comes down to it. He's going to want to get paid. And if the Lions will want to pay him $1 million more per year or guarantee him, that much more, I think he'll chase the money down. And I just think, the thing that I've noticed is when Percy did go in, the few times he did get to play, it kind of felt like he and Golden and Percy are kind of similar receivers, similar build, they're slot guys. They do kind of the same thing. Percy's just lightning faster than he is. But they still don't have that number one, and they let go of Sidney Rice, so they don't have the number one still. Percy Harvin is looked at as, I think, almost electric receiver, but he's not a real number one. So it feels like they're gonna make some kind of move to try to get a real number one in there to kind of balance what they have with Baldwin, with Percy, and then with Jermaine Kearse, because that's a good trio of the same type of guys, but they just don't have that number one. So it seems like there's just too many number two guys in there, with Tate. That's why I just don't think they'll overpay for him, because if he was a number one, that'd be something else, but he's not. And so I feel like, Percy's kind of taking that spot in there. And, I really don't want to see him go, because I really like him. I love how he plays, the way he blocks great, and he's as a return guy. I don't know who's going to be returning punts if he goes. That's the other thing that, is the other part of that equation, because he's such a great returner. But, so... yeah, I just have a bad feeling he's going to go. If he stays, I'll be pleasantly surprised and very happy if he stays. But I just have this feeling he's going to get a better offer by one of these. Detroit's obviously hungry for a receiver, and he fits that perfect hole that they need to fill. So we'll see. I hope I'm wrong, Paul.
Well, one thing that happened today, Andre Roberts, who I don't want to compare to Golden Tate, he's not Golden Tate stature, but he basically was he got about a $4 million contract. There's the Riley Cooper out in the Eagles. He got a $5 million contract with the Eagles, and Andre Roberts signed with the Redskins. I'm hoping that kind of, like you said, number two receiver pay, and Golden Tate, I think, is trying to get number one pay, stays in that $4 to $5 million range. And if it happens, I think we might be able to afford him. But we'll have to wait and see how this visit goes. You're right. So transitioning out of the free agent stuff and kind of maybe into something more that's along your skill set and all the work that you do. But I think it's been interesting how this impact of social media, Twitter, Facebook, especially Twitter, has had an overall kind of a fandom aspect, added a whole fandom aspect to following your team, especially obviously for us, the Seahawks. And I just wanted to get kind of your opinion on what it's like to, utilize Twitter as a news device, a contact device to your players, and following them, or just overall how social media has changed this relationship with what you love and you participating inside of it and with it.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic for me. I feel I'm kind of a late bloomer with the Twitter aspect of things. But it's really amped up because of what's happened with the Norbcam stuff lately. It sort of forced me to kind of be a little bit more proactive with that, as well as on. I was already pretty active on Facebook, but because of what's been going on with the Norbcam and now this Norblog stuff, I feel like it's more imperative now that I got to stay in touch with fans and people who want to. Interested in what's going on and interested in more content. And as I've been trying to maximize this opportunity that's happening with YouTube, I realize that, it's a lot of work and a lot of effort to try to keep things current so you don't get stale. Because the first, if you stop putting new things out there, just like your show, if you don't keep doing a show regularly every week, people kind of go, they're not doing anything, I'm not going to listen anymore. So you got to stay on top of it. And I think social media is kind of part of that responsibility. It's their way of feeling like you are connected with them, that you are not only passing along information that you have with them, but you're also, you're sharing in all the relative news and information that affects everything that's going on right now, especially with the Seahawks. I'm sure everybody's looking at their Twitter, waiting for what's the next move, because it's like as soon as something comes out, it's going to pop in on Twitter. So it's like the first thing you look for to find out what's the latest, greatest. Breaking news doesn't come from the networks anymore. Breaking news comes from your Twitter account. So all the more reason, if you're not in with that, you get kind of you lost in the shuffle or fall behind. So I'm definitely feeling the responsibility and the pressure to do the same thing. Now that I've got this fan base to sort of answer to. But I love it, though. I really enjoy it. It's kind of given me this extra kick to life because, I'm a father of two girls, as you've seen in the videos, and my little girls, Sophie and Vanessa, they are.
I'm all about that action, boss.
Not quite diehard Seahawk fans, but I am working on them to get them there. You'll see that if you watch the blogs. But I think they're slowly coming around. But as a father, life is busy. I've got the business to tend to. I've got my kids' responsibilities and everything that comes with being a husband and a father and everything. And so doing this kind of on the side, like a side job, it's definitely demanding on the time. But it's given me just that much more. I don't know. It's enhanced my life, just knowing that I can affect other people by what I'm presenting and sharing with people out there. And there's nothing better than when people come back with comments saying that, I was in tears watching your NFC Championship game. It just made me relive the excitement all over again. Or man, I wish I could have gone to the Super Bowl with my dad when he was alive. Stuff like that. I mean, that really just, really touches me and makes me feel that much more, rewarded that what I'm doing means something. And I'm not, it's not just for fun. It's a fun thing. But when people actually come back and send me personal messages, and even a former Seahawk from the 80s sent me a message just saying how he loved, what I did on the Super Bowl video, that really, it's very touching and very rewarding for me. And, it just makes me that much more motivated to want to, to do something more. I feel like it's like my obligation as a 12th man who has the skill set to bring something to people. That's sort of my responsibility. And so I look at it that way, and it's very, very rewarding work. And social media and YouTube and all the internet, none of this would be possible if it wasn't for this day and age that we live in now, where you can get that immediate kind of back and forth where, you can put something out there, immediately people tell you, seconds later, how they liked it or didn't like it, or think you're retarded. The haters out there definitely like to come in too. But for the most part, the people really appreciate what I'm doing, and I appreciate people for sharing their thoughts and their feelings about it, and sharing the love of the Seahawks. It's a great time. This is a great time to be a Seahawk fan, and I'm just embracing it 110%. So this is my way of doing it. So I just love it.
Well, I can honestly tell you, I appreciate it, and I can speak probably for most 12s in saying that they probably do the same. And I know that more people are going to see your work from just this appearance, and I'll keep spreading the word with my 12s army that I have out there. Norb, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on tonight and staying on a little longer than I anticipated, but nonetheless, really do appreciate it. Why don't we take just a few seconds, a minute here if you can, and again, reiterate and share, everyone, all the contacts, your YouTube site. I know that you have a movie on Netflix. I think it's called Frayed. So everybody check that out. I think you wrote and directed it. I know we don't have time to get into it tonight, but I'd love to hear more about that at some point in time. But share, everyone, all your contact and everything so they know how to follow you on Norbcam.
All right. Yeah, it's really easy. You could just Google Norbcam, N-O-R-B-Cam. That's probably the easiest way. And you'll find right away the top of the links will come up for my YouTube channel. But if you are looking specifically for my YouTube channel, it's Kawili Music. And the way you spell my name, I'm Filipino, so the last name is spelled Caoili. And that's Kawili Music. That's the name of my channel. And my Twitter is @NorbertKawili. So that's how you can find me. Oh, and Facebook. I'm on Facebook as well.
And it's just Norbert Kawili on Facebook, same thing?
Correct. Yep.
Well, we got to get your dad on Twitter. That's the next thing, okay? So your dad is a star in my mind, and we need to hear more from Bert. That's what I want to know. I want to hear the Bert every month or so. I want to hear from Bert on your vlog. If you got to get your dad involved somehow.
I do, yeah. Getting him on Twitter, that might take some work. He's a little old school, but I'm sure you're not the first to say that he stole the show, and I totally agree. My dad's is a character in itself, so yeah, I got to get him more on camera. Hopefully we'll get a lot of him during the season this year.
Well, we'll give him my best, and again, thanks for coming on tonight. I gotta wrap up this show. I got 5 topics to get into, and I got about 12 minutes, so this should be interesting.
12.
Norb, take care of yourself, and I'll put all the contact information on my site as well, and if there's anything else you want me to promote, please let me know, and keep me updated on every project you're doing, okay?
All right. Hey, Paul, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to have me on. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Take care of yourself, Norb.
Okay. All right. Take care.